I'm Charlotte. I'm going to be showing you today how to do your own henna brows at home with this step-by-step tutorial. So watch this video first to work out if this is the right product before you purchase it. With the kit, you do have the opportunity to have a video call with one of our brow specialists. So if you like, we're very happy to guide you through the whole process one-on-one. We just need to arrange a time with you and we can go through that together. So first of all, henna is a naturally occurring product, but this doesn't mean that it is without any risks. So it is basically a grass that has been processed to make a very strong dye, which is generally suitable for use on human skin. However, some people do have allergies to it. We recommend doing a patch test. Even if you've had henna done in the past, I would recommend doing it if you haven't had henna in the past 12 months. If you are allergic to grass, to seeds, or to henna, this is probably not the best product for you to use because it is more likely that you will have a reaction. If you have really dry or sun damaged skin, particularly like sunspots in the brow area or eczema, it's probably not a great product as well, mainly because you won't get the same sort of smooth result as someone that does have like a clear sort of smooth skin in that area. So yeah, we're looking forward to showing you how to do henna. So make sure you follow the instructions in the kit for how to do a patch test. That's very important, and then wait 48 hours before you continue. So being that you would have had a clear patch test by now, we're ready to proceed. Now, henna won't work very well on skin that is over exfoliated. So if you have a lot of skin treatment, which probably no one is really doing at the moment anyway, but if you're using a lot of glycolic peels or those sort of acid pads over the brow area, sometimes it doesn't work very well because there is not enough of a layer of thicker skin in which it can penetrate and dye strongly. So before you use this product, I would avoid doing anything major to your skin for at least a week or two. So we have here the henna kit. It's got everything that you need in it to do your brows nicely. So I'm just going to open it up and show you everything that's in there. Okay, so here we have the contents of our henna kit. First of all, we've got a little foaming cleanser, which is great for washing your eyebrows before you begin. You can also use this on your lashes once you get them back again. It's our #1 seller and it helps to keep oil off the lashes, but also the brows. We've got some little alcohol swabs for wiping the skin down before you apply, just to make sure that they're perfectly clean. We've got a cleansing brush, that's for using with the foaming cleanser. There we have a little angled applicator brush. We also have some pigmented mapping thread, which is for helping to measure your eyebrows before you start. We have a whole bunch of little applicators in here. So we've got lipstick applicators, which are good for getting the shape right. We've got some spoolies for getting it off at the end, and then some cotton tips. Then we've got your henna blend. So in tube A will be your custom blend that we have made for you. Tubes B and C are your toners, which you probably won't need to use. We recommend using a small amount of one of the toners to do your patch test, like a really tiny amount. It's likely you won't end up using the rest of them. And in this tube here, you can use that to mix up your henna. I actually prefer to use a shallower dish, like something, if you have something at home that you would put soy sauce in or something like that, make sure you obviously clean it incredibly well before and after using disinfectant. I'm going to be using something like this, which is what we use in the salon. I'm really sorry I don't have enough to post them out, but you can use the test tube provided to mix it up if you don't have anything else. And then we have some cotton pads, which are going to be used for wiping the brows before and after. Some other things that you may need, you are going to need a dish. So some sort of bowl from the kitchen with cool water in it. Again, make sure that it is fully cleaned and disinfected before and after you use it. This is not a necessity, but tweezers. I'm going to be doing a little bit of tweezing afterwards, and I'm going to be showing you which brow hairs are safe to take. So if you've got a pair of eyebrow tweezers at home, grab those as well. And yeah, that's it. You can wear gloves if you want to, but honestly, this is not a very messy treatment, so you really shouldn't need them. So you'll notice now that I've tied my hair back, we really don't want to be hennaing our hair, especially if you've got a fringe. Use something to clip your fringe back off your face, and also give your hands a really good wash, because we are touching our face, which is something we're not supposed to be doing at the moment. So make sure your hands are perfectly clean, just so that you're not introducing any germs or bacteria into the area. Now, to wash your eyebrows, just pump a little bit of this into the lid. Get our water and our brush, and then what we'll be doing, this is so weird doing it into a camera. I don't know how YouTube, Instagram people do this, but anyway, giving it a crack. So we're giving our eyebrows a good wash. Little circles, don't rub too hard. We don't want to cause any micro abrasions in the skin. This is just to get any oil off the area, or if you've got any brow makeup on as well, which I currently do. All right. Okay, and then using your little cotton pads, wipe them down just firmly. Okay, so there's no residue of cleanser on them. You can see I've got a little bit of makeup from on my skin that's come off, so that'll make it easier for the product to absorb now that's not there anymore. And use one of your alcohol swabs to wipe over. I'm closing my eyes because it can make your eyes stingy if you've got sensitive eyes, which I do. You only need to go over a couple of times. All right, then we've got perfectly clean brows. You'll see they're a fair bit lighter than they were before we started, because I did have brow makeup on. So this next part is where you have to sort of give your brows a bit of a self-assessment. This is where having a one-on-one conversation with us on Zoom or something like that might be useful if you're really unsure about improving the shape. However, you may feel confident and not need this. So have a look at your eyebrows up close. You can take a photo, like just a selfie, have a good look at them, because usually you will notice that one of them is a little bit of a rounder shape, or one of them sits a little higher. With henna, the great thing is that you can actually improve these imbalances by using a stain on the skin. So with my eyebrows, this is my eyebrow that's a little bit pointier. I also have a little bit more hair on this one. This brow, you may be able to notice, it has a slightly rounder shape. So when I'm doing them, I try to give this one a little bit more structure by bringing the henna out to more of an angle. So now we have the pigmented mapping threads. So in that little bag of black string, just take one, and I'm going to show you how you use them. So first of all, careful, it does get all over your hands, so don't go touching yourself or touching your dress or whatever. Just be careful and wash your hands afterwards. So what we do is we do the middle of the face, right down the center of the nose, so you can see the spot in between my eyebrows. Then to the side of the nose, sorry, it's really hard doing it into the phone. So I've made 2 marks there, so we don't want to be going much in further or taking them out any further than that. Then we measure the width of them. Now you can make them a little wider. I actually do make my brows a little bit wider than the hair currently grows, because my own brow hair is quite sparse. And there's the bottom part. Okay, and then for the ends, what we do, I like to start in the lip, go through the nose, through the edge of the eye. There you go. So you don't really want to be going past that point, because it can be sort of make your face have an aged look if you go down too low. Same thing on the other side. There's a little mark there, and then where the highest point of your brow is, so there it is. So you can see, I've just put a little line across the top, just so that we don't go crazy high on one side and not the other. It's just to keep a little bit of balance. Okay, so the next step is mixing up your henna. So in your test tube A, that's the custom blend that we've made for you. What's in here should make at least 2 treatments, maybe 3 if you have sort of smaller brows and you're not actually using a lot of pigment. So what I recommend doing is putting about half of this into the empty test tube. So we'll do that now. Now we're going to mix the henna with water. So with this test tube, we need to use our little angled brush that comes in your kit. You could also use one of your applicator brushes if you prefer, the angled ones, it's up to you. We need to mix it up. We need to add a very small amount of water at a time. We don't want to be putting heaps and heaps in here, otherwise it's going to be too runny. So what we need to do is using our brush, just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops, and then we'll mix it up and see what kind of consistency that we have. So for the purposes of this video, so that I can show you the correct consistency, I'm just using one of these little dishes that we have in the salon. If you prefer to mix your henna up in something like a small dish or even a very well clean bottle top or something like that, you can. It is a bit easier to apply than the test tube. So this consistency, you can see it there, that's too thick. So we need to add a little bit more water than that. Okay, so to that amount of henna, I probably used in total about 10 drops of water, but just go easy, mix it in 1 drop at a time until you get the desired consistency. So this is how it should be. So it's basically, eventually, it will form a drop. It's like sort of thick honey or maple syrup, that sort of consistency. If it's really runny, it won't stain your brows properly and it'll be very messy to apply. But then if it's very thick, it will dry too fast as you apply it and you won't be able to get it into the right shape. Okay, now comes the actual application part. So let's see how we go. It's not that easy filming yourself doing this, but we'll try. So what we do to start, don't start on the very edge, start in the middle so you get used to it. So we're going to apply small amount at a time, working through the brow. So basically, it's like using paint to paint on your eyebrow into the desired shape. You do want to have a couple of these at the ready that you've made wet, not soaking, just a little bit damp, because that way if you go over the lines, you can use it to correct and take the henna off immediately so it doesn't stain outside the desired shape. Okay, so keep working until you've covered the whole of the brow shape with a thin coat of henna. Don't go too thick because we will wait for this to dry and do another coat. Just be careful when you're putting down your brush that you don't put it on anything important like fabric or clothing. Now you can see here, I've made it a little bit too high, so I'm just going to use my wet angled applicator just to smooth that, see? And then turn it so that you don't then wipe the henna back onto the bit of brow that you've just removed it from. There we go, just making sure that there's no smudges around. So, I mean, I know it looks really full on and dark at the moment. That's how they look when they're processing. Obviously, when it comes off, the color underneath is a lot lighter. It's not like black like a Sharpie like this is. So we'll keep going, do the other side. Okay, so I've done my first coat. I'm keeping all those little markings in place because I found them to be a really useful guide. Just, you know, don't go above that point, don't go inside that point, keeping the right sort of thickness between the two brows. And then just make sure that when you are ready and happy with the shape that you've cleaned them up a bit. So don't leave any little bits of henna like I have just here. It's a little mark just at the bottom. So most people prefer their brows to start a little bit lighter at the beginning and then gradually get darker because that does give a more natural look. So in that case, what we would do is we would leave the fronts and then just start, when they're dry, just starting applying a little bit more henna, like a secondary layer to the outer half and the tails, and repeat that on the other side. So in terms of timings and when to take them off, normally I would take the fronts off after about 10 minutes and then I would take the rest of the brow off after a further 10 minutes. So that's about a 20-minute treatment in total. However, you can leave it longer if you think that you're going to want really dark, defined brows. then just leave it on for up to half an hour, even 45 minutes is fine. Keep in mind, if you have fair hair, particularly if your brows are like a blondie or a light brown color, and if you have a lot of brow hairs, you are going to have a very dramatic result if you leave it on for a longer period of time, as opposed to someone like me. I don't actually have a lot of natural brow hairs, so even if I leave this on for an hour, when I take it off, it's not going to be that intense because I don't have a lot of natural brow hairs. It's more going to be a skin stain where I'm seeing the difference. Okay, so it's time to take the front part of our brows off. So what you need to do is get your cotton rounds, dip them in water. You don't want to drench your brows, you just want to sort of moisten them a little bit. All right, so just wiping just the front part. And then obviously once you've gone over it once, fold it, because we don't want to be wiping henna all over the whole area. And if you're having a little trouble getting it off, as is sometimes the case, just use the brush to brush up through the brow. That'll loosen it and take it off your brow hairs. So keep wiping. Remember to keep folding it because we don't want to be dyeing the skin around the area. Tidying it up. So I'm happy with that color. I wouldn't want it to go any darker than that. That's probably about the darkest that I would like it to be. And then we'll repeat the process on the other side. So what's happened here is you can kind of see that that brow that I've taken off is a little bit lighter than that brow. So if that happens, what you need to do is use the solution that you have left over. You may need to add a tiny bit more water, but normally it should be fine. And just go back over that and leave it for another 3 or 4 minutes. So while the henna is drying, you can use your tweezers to tweeze around the henna. We wouldn't recommend doing any major reshaping. Leave that for when we reopen. But obviously any brow hair that falls outside of the henna, you can take. Now, when you pull them, just remember to pull them out the same way that they grow. So for example, if the hair is like that, pull it that way. Don't pull it opposite to the way that it's growing, because that will cause irritation and may make the skin bleed in tiny spots. So I'm just going to give them a good tweeze now. Been growing these out for a few days. My middle parts grow like crazy. Okay, so now I've waited 25 minutes in total because I do like my brows to be quite dark. So I'm using a wet cotton pad just to wipe over the rest of the brow. And then a little brush, a little spoolie from the kit. Now, I would recommend closing your eye as you do this, just so that the dust doesn't fall down into your eye. So just gently scraping over it and then wiping over the whole area just to remove any residue, because you don't want that residue sitting on the skin and then dyeing the area around the brow. So you can still see it's still quite dark in the middle, so I'm going to just go through that again. Obviously just being careful not to get it everywhere. Wet the pad again, and wiping over it. Okay, so brows have all been washed off and they're finished. I like mine quite dark, so obviously the color that I've blended up is maybe a little darker than what other people would like. I have also left it on for an extended period of time. You don't need to leave it on for half an hour, but I do like them to last, so I let them develop as long as they can. Now, to get them to last, to look after your henna brows, first of all, you need to make sure that you keep them dry for 24 hours. This is to allow the pigment to absorb as much as possible into the skin, which means that you'll get a more permanent, well, a longer lasting skin stain. Secondly, the less that you do to your brows, the better. So don't put any creams or moisturizers or especially exfoliating agents over them. So just try to, wash your face as normal, but work around the brows and just rinse them off with water, obviously after that 24-hour period. And they should last you anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Some people get longer, some people get even 3 or 4 weeks. It really just depends on your skin type and your hair type as to how much the pigment will stay in the skin. So it's now about 48 hours since I first applied my henna. As you can see, the colour has softened a little bit in the last couple of days from when I first took off the henna. I left mine on for about half an hour, which is pretty much the maximum processing time for henna, because I do like a darker, longer lasting stain. What I did do also is, because it had set just a tiny bit too dark for me, is when I'd completed the treatment, I used a little bit of exfoliant just on the fronts of my brows, just to soften the color there a little, being careful not to remove too much. And that got them to the shade that I wanted them. So I'm really happy with them now. I hope your henna brow treatment went well. And if you do have any questions or anything you want to go over with us, feel free to drop us a line and we'll help.